Bad things will happen, no matter how careful we are, no matter how much we plan, no matter how hard we work to keep life steady. We can't stop the hard things from coming. They arrive like winter, sudden or creeping, harsh or quiet, but always inescapable. Author Katherine, in her book Wintering, reminds us that these winters of life are not failures, but seasons. Necessary, painful, and yet strangely full of meaning. And just like the natural winter, these seasons affect every single one of us. For me, living with bipolar disorder means that winter doesn't always look the same. Sometimes it's a storm that blows in without warning. Other times it's a long, gray season where I can't quite find the sun. But here's the truth. Whether you live with bipolar, depression, anxiety, or no diagnosis at all, we all face the reality that life brings hardship. We lose people we love. We get sick. We face financial struggles, broken relationships, disappointments that knock the breath out of us. For me, recently, it was losing Oliver, our sweet golden doodle, on Father's Day. He was only 7 years old, still so full of life, so much joy ahead of him, and yet, in an instant, he was gone. It was sudden and very painful, and it felt like the ground disappeared beneath us. The ache hasn't left me. The house feels quieter, emptier. There are moments when I still expect to see him waiting by the door, tail wagging. That's the thing about these winters. They don't just arrive once and leave. They linger. They settle into the corners of our days, reminding us of what's missing. And more than that, they often come when you were already juggling other storms. And suddenly, one more weight drops, heavier than you think you can hold. These moments have pulled me away from things I love. Even this podcast. I've missed weeks of recording because I was in my own winter. And I want to pause and truly apologize to those of you who listen and wait for each episode weekly. I'm sorry. But here's what I know. We have to give ourselves permission to step back when we need to rest, to grieve, to take time. Because wintering isn't weakness. It's part of being human. And when we're in those hard places, others don't know what to say. They ask, "What do you need? Call me if you need something." And the honest answer is, we don't know what we need. Or maybe we're not brave enough to say it out loud. Sometimes the silence from others is even harder. People pull back because they don't want to say the wrong thing. But in doing so, they end up saying nothing at all. And that silence can make the winter feel even colder. The truth is, it's not about needing grand gestures. It's about presence. It's about the people who aren't afraid to step into your grief or your struggle without trying to fix it, or without waiting for you to hand them a list of instructions. The best kind of help is often the help that comes unasked for. A friend who shows up with a meal, someone who folds your laundry, a text that says, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Not the kind of support that asks you to be strong enough to direct it, but the kind that simply arrives and wraps around you like a blanket. And for those of us living with mental health struggles, whether it's bipolar, depression, or anxiety, that support matters even more. Because sometimes just surviving the day has taken everything we had, and asking for help feels impossible. Katherine May writes that winter is not an end, but a pause, a season of rest and preparation. And I've learned that even in the darkest winters of my mental health, there is still a way through. Maybe not a fast way or an easy way, but a way. Sometimes hope looks like the tiniest flicker of light, the reminder that spring always comes back, even if it feels impossibly far away. In Wintering, she writes about how we so often rush to get out of hard seasons, but in doing so, we miss what they have to teach us. Winter isn't just something to endure. It's a space where healing, change, and quiet growth are happening beneath the surface. The thing about winter is that it teaches us slowness. It forces us to strip life back to the essentials, to let go of what we cannot carry. In those seasons, survival itself is an act of courage. And when we stop fighting against the cold and start finding ways to endure it, something shifts. We discover strength we didn't know we had. I think hope is less about pretending everything's okay and more about believing that it won't always feel this way. That even in the deepest freeze, underneath the surface, life is still quietly preparing to bloom again. And maybe that's why wintering is so important. It reminds us that it's okay to rest, to step back, to heal slowly. That it's okay to let the darkness be what it is, without losing sight of the truth that light will return. So here's what I want you to remember today. If you're the one in the storm, you don't have to know what to ask for. You are not less worthy of care just because you can't articulate what you need. And if you're the one standing beside someone in their storm, don't wait to be asked. Show up. Do the small things. And be the quiet presence. Because even in the deepest winters, hope is still there. Quiet, waiting, and ready to return. And maybe that's the most important truth of all. We don't survive our winters alone. We survive them because of the hands that reach for us, the people who sit with us in the cold, the tiny acts of love that remind us we are not forgotten. So keep showing up, keep holding on, and trust that the light will come back, even when you cannot yet see it. I'm Jamie Kodra, and this is I Am Hope in the Chaos. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I hope you'll carry it forward. Share it with someone who might need the reminder, or just let it rest in your heart as you move through your own seasons. And always remember, there is hope in the chaos. If this podcast resonates with you, if it helps you feel a little more understood or a little less alone, please consider supporting it. I pour everything into these episodes, my time, my heart, and my truth. And your support truly keeps it going. You can make a one-time donation or become a monthly supporter on Ko-fi. Every dollar helps cover production costs, support future episodes, and allows me to continue creating and showing up with honesty and heart. Here's the link: coffee.com/I am hope in the chaos. That is ko-fi.com/I am hope in the chaos. You're not just supporting a podcast, you're supporting a lifeline for me and for others who need to hear these words. I am not a licensed therapist, medical provider, or mental health professional. The experiences, stories, and insights shared in this podcast are based solely on my own personal journey and lived experiences. This content is intended only for educational, inspirational, and support purposes. It is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a licensed mental health professional or healthcare provider regarding your mental health or medical conditions. If you are in crisis or experiencing an emergency, please contact emergency services immediately by calling 911 or reach out to the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling 988. You are not alone. You never were, and you never have to be. And remember, there is hope in the chaos.